Morning, everyone. Wow. So it is Super Bowl Monday, and for years, I would say this needs to actually low key be a national holiday. I mean, football is definitely an American sport. No other country plays it as an original. Other countries call football what we call soccer is their football, and football is definitely American homegrown. And I know a lot of people do a lot of things for Super Bowl Sunday, whether their team is in the game or not. But it usually ends up being a long night regardless. And, it's like another holiday. And, with food, family, and friends, and good times, laughter, yelling, celebrating. I mean, it's a lot. And so I really think that it should be a holiday the Monday after for sure. And I know for a fact that they had a ball in New Orleans after the game and also the days leading up to the big game because we lived in New Orleans one year when the Super Bowl was there, and I promise you, oh my goodness, when I was looking at the stands and the fans in the stands, I was like, yo, they are going to have a good time. And that's win, lose, or draw for sure. And what's also really interesting? I've been hearing some people saying that the game is rigged or asking the question, do you think the big game is rigged? Listen, football is a gladiator sport. Yeah, maybe someone can get to a quarterback or two to not do certain things, but I promise you that game can never be rigged because they play hard, and it's every man, woman, and child for themselves. Yes, they want their team to win, but those games are all one and done. It's not like basketball when they have, going for the championships and such. They have all these games, game 7 and stuff like that. And, oh, we all want to make some money, so let us win this so we can go to the next game. It's not like that with football. You lose, you're done, you're out. And no one wants to lose, no one wants to be out. There's way too many people on the team for it to be a collective, okay, let's throw this game. Listen, if anybody was found, reliable or, what's it called? In charge or responsible, that's the word I'm looking for, responsible for throwing a game, it will be a situation. It would be a situation on the sidelines, it would be a situation on the fields, and definitely a situation in the locker room. Nobody wants that. Listen, even though the Eagles won, there are players on that team right now waking up concerned about their position on the team. Just because they win doesn't mean that they are guaranteed to be on the team next year. So there's no way that that game could ever, you hear me when I say ever, ever be rigged, ever be thrown or anything like that. Now, the referees may have something going on, making bad calls and things of that nature. But in terms of the players, they all fighting for their next life. They're fighting for their next season. They're fighting for their next game. So I just can't even begin to imagine that. Not from what I know. It is business and it's your business. So you on a team, yes, you are a team player, but you also are an individual on that team. And your film counts. Your film matters. So no matter how well the team may have done, if you didn't do your part, if you missed a play, if you missed a tackle, if you missed a catch or whatever, that's you. That's on you. And you will have that situation. Loving myself is in the building. Hello, how are you? Hope you had a good weekend and are ready for this week to come in. And oh, so you were going for Kansas City? You know, whenever I see Kansas City playing in a Super Bowl, I always think about goodness, Derek Thomas. I always think about Derek Thomas. Not that he played in a Super Bowl before, but I just remember him passing away in a it was like a freak accident for sure on his way to the airport one year to go to the Super Bowl just to see, just to hang out, just to be there. He played on the Kansas City Chiefs, and this was like in the mid to late 90s when he died. Probably the late 90s, yeah, when he died, and it was so sad. And so every time I see Kansas City in the Super Bowl, I always think about him because I know if he was alive, he would be on that sideline for sure. They lost Oh, you think they lost because of that? I don't know, I don't know. You know, everyone has their reasons for believing why their team won or lost, but, you know, I'm sure it was a hard fight because you know what? They took too long to get into the game because when I looked, it was like a blowout almost. You know, the Eagles were so far ahead. And then at some point is when Kansas City said, "Yo, we got to play. Let's play." And, you know, it's almost like they put too much effort too late. So, you know, they're going to get it again. You believe that? All right. I couldn't believe that he was in the building. I was like, where did that invitation come from?" But, I thought Kendrick Lamar did a phenomenal job at halftime. Halftime is a thing. I don't know if you all have been keeping up with my Black History Month videos, y'all. It takes so much time and research to do it, and I'm looking at it like, okay, this is more or less like a hobby. I love doing that research. I love finding out new things and, you know, understanding about other people and everything, but it's just because I'm doing it every day, and it's not a I'm not doing this for any reason other than I wanna put information, good content out here for Black History Month. So it's not a challenge or anything like that. But it's amazing how much research, how much, you know, putting it together takes for just a short video. Like my video yesterday about In Living Color, because I don't know if y'all knew that In Living Color is the reason why we have the type of halftime shows we have. And, you know, that was developed and directed, produced, all that by a black man, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and the Wayans family. And what they did on television during that time was remarkable, you know, in the 90s. And so I did a video on it highlighting them for Black History Month. That video was 4 minutes long. It took me about 5 hours to put it together. My video from Saturday was 13 minutes long about Fritz Pollard, and he was the first black quarterback and head coach in the NFL. And people give those accolades to other players, but it was Fritz Pollard. And that video was 13 minutes and it literally took me all day long. I think I started doing that video at like 10 in the morning and I didn't finish until 8 at night. Oh my goodness, it took me so long because, you know, when you have the voiceover, you wanna make sure that what you're saying so you put the pictures in. I use iMovie. You know, there's a lot of different platforms. I know some people use Canva. I just can't figure all that out. iMovie's on my phone, it's on my iPad. It's real simple to use, and, you know, I just upload I first of all, okay, I redo my research, I put my information in my notes, and then I look for pictures aligned with the information. When I get the pictures, I have to, you know, screenshot and then, you know, edit them or whatever. I upload all of them onto iMovie to create a new movie. And then I do the voiceover. And when I do the voiceover, I have to rearrange the pictures, sometimes make them longer, you know, according to whatever I'm saying about that kind of situation that's aligned with that picture. So it takes a very long time. And I'm just glad that I'm able to put that type of content out here so that, you know, in the future, it's evergreen. In the future, it will be able to still get those views, still be relevant because it's our history. Our history is not going anywhere. We, you know, go forward, of course, but that information those are the shoulders we're standing on right now. So let me see. So loving myself is saying the moment I sat ah, in the bathtub, my daughter came in and said, "Casey got a touchdown." Don't tell me you was giving up on them and you were just like, "You know what? I'm just gonna get ready for bed at this point because they are clearly not going to win this game." I don't tell me you were doing that. Oh my goodness. Good morning, James. Welcome in. Hope you have a great day today. Thanks for tuning in today with me this morning. Thank you, James. It's no interruption. I appreciate that. See, loving myself, you can't be that kind of fair weather fan. You gotta believe in your team to the bitter end. You gotta say, you know what? We might be down, but they can come back from this. They better than that team. They just gonna have to get it together. You have to cheer them on. That's how you do. Oh my goodness. It's for me, it's nothing like a comeback. I love when a team can make a comeback. And when I used to coach basketball, my team was notorious for doing that. I had a all-star team, but my team was relatively small compared to some of the other teams that we played in the state of New Jersey. And initially, they would always get intimidated by the other team. I'm talking about these other young girls would tower over my team. And so they would get so bent out of shape. And I would always that first half would always be a struggle, but I would always kind of see because back then, I mean, we just didn't have at least I didn't have the capacity to scout other teams, and I didn't that was my first year of coaching. My first year of coaching, they automatically just gave me an all-star team. And so I didn't know what the other teams had been doing, what their strengths are, their weaknesses. I had never seen them play. And so, I'm just going off of just the talent of my team. So by the time towards the end of the second half, I would figure it out like, oh, all right, this is what they doing. But guess what? We are way better than them because we could do X, Y, and Z, boom, boom. So at halftime, I would, re-strategize the whole game and encourage my team. I would encourage them the entire first half as well, just letting them know, like, y'all got this. Y'all are really great. Don't worry about the size. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Don't worry about it. Y'all are faster than them. Y'all are more skilled than them, more talented. Y'all have more finesse. Y'all have more skills. And, it would be kind of hard, but by halftime, I would have strategized what we're going to do for the next half. And I promise you, every time we would win, and it would be so amazing. And my first team, especially that team, they are all grown women now with married with children of their own and stuff. Listen, they were 12, I was 21, 22. I wasn't that much older than them in real life. But, it seemed like like I was a lot older than them back then, but they I hope to this day that they remember those moments and know that they can absolutely do anything. They could win, they could be better. That if they could just believe in themselves, and that's what it really comes down to. It don't matter what your competition is, because you have something special. And when you can tap into what you have that's special, you will always win. But if you let the other team, the other opponent get into your head and mess you up in that way, like, dang, they beating me. That's another touchdown. That's another few points or whatever. If you let them get in your head like that, then you are going to be defeated. And unfortunately, I don't know when the tide turned for Kansas City, but you could tell that something got into them. Maybe one of the players, because players are like coaches low key too on the sidelines, trying to, whatever their crew is with the linemen, the defense, offensive linemen, special teams, whatever, they pump each other up. So I don't know if an elder on the team, shook them up like, yo, we've been here before. Stop playing, play for real. Let's do this. This is what we came here for. We didn't win all those games. We didn't go through all this. We're not our champions for our region for no reason. We got this. And but maybe it was just a little bit too late for that. But because when you playing on a professional level, everybody's good. That's why, listen, people always talk about who's gonna have a good season. Oh, this person, they not good, whatever. I don't put nothing past any professional sports team because they are all professionals. They the 1% of the 1%. I'm talking about all the guys that play in college. They're 1% chance of getting into the NFL. And then they have that 1% chance of making the team and another 1% to stay playing long enough to be vested. So they are the top 1% basically in the world. And you can't tell me that it's not any given Sunday. I don't care what coach they have, what their first round draft was, who their quarterback is. Any given Sunday, any team can win for sure. And I see Colton is in the building, and your mama called on TV. So I had to do a trade ever since I don't know, let's make out celebration. Mm, all right. So I guess James is a Eagles fan. I see everyone is speaking. All right. So James is playing. I hear that, James. Listen, start Monday off with some laughter, some joy, and loving myself. Your team, they're gonna, they're gonna be all right. Do you prefer the team, or are there players on the team that you prefer? Because I know that, people always are like, oh, do you have a favorite team? Now, growing up, my favorite team was the New York Giants because I'm from New Jersey and the Giants, they are like, they actually play in New Jersey, not too far from where I grew up. So I just grew up seeing them, they would come in to, they're my parents' clients, customers, went to the same church with a lot of the players. So I was very familiar with them as people. Just like the Nets. The Nets was one of my favorite teams because I knew a lot of the Nets players. However, I did have other favorite teams around the league, especially in the NBA. But I always used to like the Giants. And then I just so happened to marry my husband, who was a Giant. But then he went to other teams, and whatever team we played for, that's my favorite team. But now that he's retired, I don't have a favorite team. I guess it could be the Panthers since we're here, and that's where he retired from. But I don't really follow football like that anymore. But I always would look and root for the team where I knew the players. So I wonder when, people have a favorite team, is it because of the team or is it because of the players? I know the old school teams like the Cowboys, Giants, um, let me see, the Eagles, a lot of the older teams, the more older franchises, people, it's just like a hereditary thing in the family. People love those teams because their parents love them, their grandparents love them, things like that. And that just becomes their family. That's what they do. But I know I had an aunt and her husband and her kids, they loved the Cowboys. But one of her daughters, I believe, is a Washington. I know they're not called the Redskins anymore, but a Washington from the DC area team. That was her favorite team. Do you remember what's the new name for the Washington Redskins? And it was interesting because they lived in New Jersey. They never went to Dallas, but the Cowboys was their team. I mean, oh my goodness, my one cousin had everything Cowboys in her room, the comforter, all that. They just loved the Cowboys so much. And Conscious Business Services and Opportunities is in the building. Hello to you. Oh, it's so great to see you. You like the Eagles? You wanted to see him make history? Okay. And that was Ike Ike Mahone. Okay. But I really felt happy for the Eagles quarterback. All right. And I grew up in New York and my NBA team was Chicago. What? Was that because of Michael Jordan? Because listen, I did love the Knicks. Now, when the Nets and Knicks played, though, I'm always going to go for the Nets. I always go for the home team for sure. But growing up, it was the Knicks for me. John Starks, I don't care. I'll put John Starks, he'll be my first pick over everybody, over Jordan, over Shaquille, over LeBron, over all the players. I would always pick John Starks. And I know sometimes when I used to do well, I still do presentations and speaking engagements, but sometimes I used to talk about, sports like basketball. And I would always say how John Starks was always my favorite player, and I would use him as an example because I felt like he really went over and beyond. He gave 200% on the court. Yeah, he may not have the highest percentage when it comes to field goal shooting and everything. But guess what? He'll take the shot. He will take that shot. He don't care. If he missed, he's still going to take the shot the next time. His confidence, and how tough he was. He didn't care who you were. He dunked on Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in the same play. He dunked over both. He don't care who you are, how much money you make, what franchise player you might think you are, whatever. He had that kind of confidence, like, I'm right here with you. And I respected that so much. Just his tenacity, his resilience, his gumption, in some cases. I said, I have to meet him because I really want to interview him. And I easily could, I know it, but I just haven't, put myself out there to do it. And I probably need to do it sooner than later because we all getting up there in age for sure. Um, so you feel like, oh, Chicago had better communication skills? See, that's the thing. If a team has like a star player, I always would shy away from them. I feel like I like teams that work hard together. And I mean, all the players on the Chicago Bulls, especially back in the day, to me, they all were just as good as Michael Jordan, and or they helped make him that good. And I just didn't feel like they got enough shine on them. And that's why I don't know. And probably I was just, being contrary because everyone did love Chicago Bulls back then. And, just whoever I was for whoever was against playing against Chicago, let's put it that way. But I do respect Michael and his career for sure. I do. And what he's done for the game with, his sneakers. I remember my senior year in high school, I got the first pair of, I don't think they were called Air Jordans, but they were Nikes, and they were the first time. Now this was 1986, that basketball season, 86, 87. And I got the white high top sneakers. I mean, I see them now. I think they're not Air Force Ones. I don't even know what they're called. But I had them with the metallic blue because our colors were blue and white. And it was me and another player on my team. We were only two that got those particular ones. And y'all, I thought I was a cat's meow in those sneakers. They looked so beautiful. That color blue, that metallic blue had never been done before. I wish I still had them because I know they would be in great condition because I only wore them when I played. I didn't wear them, out or anything. Um, but I'm gonna tell you this, they were the most uncomfortable. When I see people with those sneakers on now, I'm like, your feet hurt. I know it. Your feet hurt. That leather is so thick and stiff. Imagine playing, those are not for basketball. I'm like, who said these are basketball sneakers? They are so uncomfortable. Oh my goodness. Samuel L. Jackson at halftime was brilliant. I loved it. I do too, James. Whenever I see Samuel L. Jackson, I just want to stop and just look. Like I search any movie because he's in so many movies every year, movies that we don't even see, get advertised. Sometimes it's those B movies or whatever. But I just want to see him because his way is just so funny. And the way that they had him on there dressed like the Centennial or whatever, and he was acting low key a little bit like his character in Django. I was just like, wait. He was like a modern day character from his character in Django. I loved it. Yes. Right? Loving myself. I loved it. When I saw him, I said, wait, what's Samuel doing? Hold on. Uncle Sam. That's what he was. He was dressed up like Uncle Sam. Yes, he was. I really, really enjoyed Kendrick Lamar's his performance. The dancers, there was one scene where he was kind of sitting there and his backup dancers had on all white and they were sitting behind him just kind of like nodding their head like this, and you could tell there was one right behind Kendrick who had like an afro, a small afro, and he was smiling, and I said he is having a blast. He is so happy for this moment, and I know his family was home screaming like, there we go, there we go. And just looking at all those dancers, and I'm thinking about all the amazing dancers that we have, just amongst our own culture that just they could dance their butts off, right? And you wonder, like, after this, what do they do? Well, they could be in videos or on Super Bowl Sundays, doing what they were doing yesterday with Kendrick Lamar, because he had a ton. I would love to know exactly how many people he had dancing for him because he had so many. But that young man was like, he was like this, like, and I said, he's so happy. Look at him. And they all were. It was just a good time. And then, the one of the last songs that he did about, the one with Drake. And I was like, okay, that's so wild. Could you imagine someone having a diss record about you and they are performing it in front of like over 100 million people? What? And they say your name like that? Like, hold on. And so Loving Myself is saying it reminded her of when Rihanna performed the backup dance in the yes, and she was pregnant and she had on that red, and that was such a beautiful outfit that she had on, I thought. Yeah, and even looking at Beyonce at the halftime for Christmas, or was it New Year's? Christmas, with the Houston Texans, and she had all those people, the school, the band, and it, it just gives people that much more hope when they have that passion to do something like that, to dance. Like, yo, I could probably dance for, the Super Bowl Sunday, or I could dance on Broadway. Because before it would be just Broadway, really, that you could dance, but now it's so much more. And I love that. I love that. That opportunity. And concerts. Heck, let them do a tour of the world. They'll be working for a year doing what they love. That's so dope to me. I love it. Well, y'all, I need to get ready to go. And I just enjoyed talking with y'all, chatting it up about Super Bowl Monday. That's what this is. Super Bowl Monday, which should be a national holiday. Maybe, one day somebody will see the value in that and say, we need to let people rest the day after the Super Bowl because it's a lot. And Kendrick is the new king of the culture. All right, James, you say that that Kendrick Lamar is the king of the culture. Listen, I hope he can stand up to it, because kings, we don't want them to be one and done. We want him to continue on and continue to thrive in his career. Sometimes when people hit that plateau, or they hit that peak, they plateau at that peak. And I know it's like ebbs and flows, valleys and hills and valleys in everything we do, every career. But I'm thinking about like Lauryn Hill, y'all, it was almost like too much pressure for her to have done so well with that album. That one album, just imagine, she had that one album and it was such a hit. Imagine if like Brandy just stopped at her one album. Well, I don't know if that's a good example, but imagine if Beyonce stopped at that one album. Imagine if Earth, Wind and Fire stopped at that one album. Marvin Gaye, Sister Sledge, the Isley Brothers. Imagine if they all just stopped at that one album. All of the great music, Shaka Khan, that we would have missed from them, right? So I just hope with this win of Album of the Year and all the accolades that Kendrick Lamar is getting here lately, I hope that he still can go into the studio and crank out some great hits. I'm pretty sure he will, but I just don't want him to get nervous. It's almost like on YouTube, now I'm not monetized yet. I don't have the hours, but I've noticed like people be like, "Oh, I gotta get the hours." They have all these live parties and run my playlist parties or whatever. And then when they get monetized, it's crickets. When you get to where you want to be, that's not when you stop. When an athlete makes it to the professional level, they don't stop practicing. They continue to hone their skill to get better, to see how they can be that much better in their craft. They're getting advice from other professionals and experts. They are hiring personal trainers so that they could be at the tip top. They're eating better. They're just doing better for themselves. They're not like, oh, I made it to the NFL or to the NBA or whatever, MLB, and I'm done. This is all I need. Just this one contract. No, they keep going. They keep improving. They keep trying to gain more recognition and developing their legacy, making it last longer. So yeah, don't stop right there. So for those of you who are content creators on here, if you are monetized, congratulations, but don't stop right there. For those of you who are new and are trying to get monetized, don't stop right there. Keep going every day. Put one foot in front of the other. When you are the best, you don't stay there by accident. You don't stay there just because. You stay there because you're working hard. So keep working hard and doing your best. And whatever you're doing in your life, on your job, your career, your school, if you're in school, if you have your own business, just because you said, I got my business, I got my brick and mortar store, the doors are open. I have my website, the doors are open. you don't stop right there. You keep going to improve. Always look for ways to improve. That's one another lesson I learned from my parents who owned and operated their own business for 40 years. Every single thing that my father did, the next time he did it, he always looked for ways to improve it. And he didn't look for ways to improve it when it came up again. He looked for ways to improve it right after it was done. And that's how I am with everything I do. I always look right after I debrief. I want to do I call it the pluses and the deltas. What went well? What would I do different next time? You always have to know, what will you do different? What will you do better next time? Carter's Eat is in the building. Hello, good morning, Soror. Listen, I'm about to sign off. I wish I would have seen you earlier. Thank you for being here. I have some great people coming through this morning. We got James in the building, loving myself, conscious business and solutions, services and solutions in the house. I appreciate everyone for being here today. And I know there was someone else, but I think they just kind of went in and they did some double dutch over here. But I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Stay safe and make a difference in whatever you're doing in your life. And for sure, remember, every day, practice so hard that when you do get into play, listen, I should have been talking to the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. When you do get into play, you will always play to win. It's been my pleasure being here with you this morning. Take care. I am Coach Sherri.